Welcome to AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to Arizona Barrio Stories. I'm Irma, coming to you from downtown Phoenix from ALAC. You need to come check us out anytime you're in the vicinity of 147 East Adams. I want to welcome today our newest members from Cashion, from Las Ligas. And we have new members from the Chandler, Gilbert area, Sonora town. Welcome, welcome to our family, and we hope that you are able to tell your story too. Did you know that you can now find Arizona Barrio Stories on your phone? You can go to Chicano Hollywood and download it on your phone, or if you have a smart TV, it's on Roku. If you have any questions or problems downloading it, hit us up and we will guide you through it. Chicano Hollywood TV is an app that you want to download. We invite you to watch us on there also, as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Thank you for being a part of our family. We have a magnificent show today. We are once again with David Parra Luna with AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. He always has fascinating things for us to learn about, and today, no doubt, is going to be another one of the fascinating shows. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Irma. What an introduction. Thanks so much. I am so happy to be back. This is 2023. We're doing our first show of this year, and we're kicking it off with a topic that is extremely important, and it is my finances.
When we're growing up, sometimes we don't think about where money comes from. Maybe we think money grows on trees, and parents sometimes don't teach financing to their children, let alone grandchildren. And then as adults, we start to wonder, okay, am I going to have enough money to pay for this? And we end up in trouble sometimes because maybe we weren't taught. So hopefully this subject today will help guide people with finances and budgeting. I mean, it's a subject we all need to talk about.
You know, it's interesting because we live in a very sophisticated world today, and if we look back to our parents or grandparents, they actually budgeted. They actually made things, make ends meet, and sometimes we just do not know how they did it, but they did it. I keep referencing my father and father-in-law, who they did not make a lot of money. Actually, my dad never made $16 an hour. Never. And he ended up with the house in the US of A. So how did he do that, right? So he had to have some skills or some notions of making ends meet. In the sophisticated world that we live in, it's a must. We have to learn some concept or two about managing money. And that's why these conversations, right? I would like to just read a couple of sentences about this programs that we're going to be offering. It says that My Finances is designed to encourage, motivate, and empower to take control of one's financial future and help us know where we are, where we want to be, and how to get there. So I really hope that these conversations will inspire people, will teach a few concepts here and there. And you know what? I was just thinking as we approach this topic that I am very, very thankful that I have learned these topics and that two of my three children have learned them also. I didn't say the three because the other, he's young, but guess what? He's in college right now, but even he is learning the financial concepts because it is very important, especially early on.
I'm glad you mentioned your youngest son. When I was going to college and then to the university, one of the things that I didn't know about, but I was taught later, is they had people out there trying to give these young people credit cards. to live on plastic. And those can be very dangerous if you're not accustomed to budgeting and taking care of your own finance, especially if you had been under the umbrella of your parents.
Actually, this is going to be a 3-part program. This is just the introduction, and we'll continue with several shows. And the 3-part program is budgeting, managing credit and debt, and then saving and protecting assets. And this is very interesting because, I mean, young people get so happy when they open up their wallets and show 5 credit cards or 3. That could be very tricky. It could be good if you know how credit works, or it could be very, very detrimental to one's finances. So I think folks, hopefully they'll tune in, and these conversations will definitely provide some concepts, some tips, so that we learn how to manage our finances, and that eventually we use credit for our own good, and not that we don't get in trouble by credit. Yeah. But the first thing that we would like to do today is kind of introduce the topic. Again, it's going to be budgeting, managing credit and debt, and saving and protecting assets. The first thing that I would like to do is to talk about a workbook that AARP has, that all these concepts that I'm going to be talking about, they come from this workbook. And it's the workbook is called Finances 50 Plus. However, the concepts have no age barriers. I mean, we name it like that because we serve the 50 plus population, but the concepts are universal, you could say. And let me, I was thinking about, and we were chatting a little bit before going on air, and it's interesting that just to get an idea how budget and deficits and debt works, I looked up the numbers before coming on the show on Google, and the U.S., the country, the government, in 2023 has over $600 billion in deficit. So that means that the expenses have overexceeded the budget. So when you have a budget and you spend more, that generates a deficit. So what do you do to deal with the deficit? Usually, I mean, even with us, we go to the plastic, the credit. Well, the U.S. government, kind of like in the same principle, it goes to borrow money that generates debt. Well, the debt of the United States in 2023, it's over $30 trillion.
Oh my.
So I just wanted to bring this example just to show in a big spectrum how this thing works. We have a budget. If you spend more than what you have, you generate a deficit, and then you still have to eat. You still have to pay the bills. Like the government, they still have to pay the bills, right? So what do? They borrow money. Now, the government has laws to say, okay, this is how much debt we're going to allow the government to incur. Well, when they reach that, it's called the debt ceiling. So that means it already hit the ceiling, right?
I've heard that term.
Yeah. So now, even in these times, that we're talking about it in the month of April, they're dealing with that. They want to higher the debt ceiling because they need to borrow more money to take care of the bills. Same concept, Irma, in our finances. I know a lot of people. I get calls. I mean, by the way, my number will appear on the video if anybody wants to talk to me. Just kind of have conversations about finances, the basic finances, because they can get very complicated. I touch the basics, right? By all means, call me. But I know a lot of people, and I hear a lot of cases, even just over a quinceañera. And quinceañeras are very popular with our culture. And it can get very, very expensive. And a lot of times people may say, you know what, I'm just going to go all out. How do you say? You go all out it? Go
all out.
All out, that's it. And they end up with $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in debt. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing whatever people want, but the best way to do it is to have a budget and say, look, I'm going to save because in such and such a time, I'm going to need this money. And if you plan it, then you'll enjoy your event and you're not going to end up with a bunch of debt that is going to take you 5 to 10 years. I mean, even the student debt right now, the government is dealing with student debt. Some people owe $100,000, $50,000, and they're doing their best, the government, to forgive some of the debt. But can you imagine? You get in debt, you finish your school, you get a job, and then you have to spend 5 to 10 years to pay the debt. So we are just basically giving these examples to show how critical it is to manage our money. Why? Isn't it hard to make the money? I mean, I say it for me. I work 8 hours, 10 hours, and it is very difficult. So why not manage it right so that we don't get in trouble? So that's basically the introduction to this important topic.
Well, coming from being an educator, we didn't get that much money to begin with, but we had to follow a type of budget to make ends meet.
Definitely. And that's why in this first program, I would like folks to go to our page, AARP.org. And you know, links are super long. So what I'm going to do is go to AARP.org and go do a search and just put finances 50 plus. And they'll be able to download a workbook. I mean, it's pretty thick. So obviously you're going to use whatever it's beneficial to you. You don't have to use the whole workbook, but it gives you the concepts, it gives you the principles, and it's a workbook. So you don't have forms that you can literally fill out when talking about your budget. We're going to be talking about in the next show, we're going to do an assessment to see how you're doing with finances, and then we're going to do a calculation of our net worth. I wonder if people have heard about the net worth. How much do you what is it? Your worth. We know how much are you worth, you know, and that is going to be done by the assets and liabilities, and then you're going to say, whoa, you know, I owe this much. I mean, my net worth is this much. So this is very helpful in then learning about budgeting and all that. And then thirdly, of course, the budgeting. How do you do a budget? What do you include and all that? So I'm inviting folks to go to the website, aarp.org. Just do a search and just put finances 50 plus, and there's going to be just scroll down a little bit on the page, and then you'll be able to download these workbooks, because all I'm going to be talking about is in that workbook. But besides just hearing, you're going to get these sheets to fill out and do all the exercises that we're going to be talking about in these shows.
And the form is called Finances 50 plus.
Yes. And the website is aarp.org.
David, thank you for the intro today, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping people tune in and this is something that it clicks with them and they start thinking, hey, there's somebody out there that wants to help me. And thank you for helping us.
And we're going to be touching this, I say basic, but we're gonna be doing it in a solid way so that anybody who wants to manage the finances well, they're going to be able to do it.
Thank you, David, for coming on today, and I'm excited for our next show.
Me too, and it is my pleasure. Thank you, Irma.
Thank you for tuning in today, and don't forget, David has some wonderful tips. Thank you for tuning in today. We will be looking for you soon.